if you're going to send me a single or you're going to write me an email, don't be like, hey, check this out. You need to say something like, when I wrote this, I was feeling this, or I was here in my life. I would love if you heard it. And then I'm going to relate it to something similar that I went through, and I'm going to be curious enough to check it out. You got to be smart, and you got to play the emotion card.
Welcome to RenmanMusicandBusiness.com, almost fucking disaster.com. My name is Steve Rennie, and I am the Renman. And this little program is called Renman Live. If you're looking to do something huge in the music business, don't take my advice. Go to a real professional here, actually. Actually, you probably come to the right place for music business advice. Technical advice, not so much. Our guest today is radio personality Nicole Alvarez. If you haven't been to our show before, for the last 3 years now, we've been getting together with some of the smartest, most talented people around to talk about this music business and help you folks that are artists and professionals try to help navigate your way around this kooky business. Today is our 111th broadcast.
Yay!
Yeah, and marking our 30. I'm going to tell you who that mysterious voice is here in a minute. What makes our show unique is when it works, and today, we have sound now? Are we all good? Folks, talk to me. Talk to Kieran.
Yep.
All right, good. God, you see what? This is why I quit being a manager. I thought that was being stressful, and then I thought I'd be a fucking web host. Jesus. All right, anyway, folks, if you're looking to learn about the music business, I'm telling you, the best way to do that is by asking questions. We've got a little saying around here, you don't ask! You don't get, and you don't get any answers at all. So this is a great place to start learning by asking some questions. So to help me put on this extravaganza, I have a wonderfully talented team, much more talented than I. And let me introduce you to them right now. You'll notice over there on the keyboards, our Trojan man in that nice tank top. Oh, that's not Cody. That's Kira freaking O'Neill driving over there. We got the plane off the ground, Kara. We're doing good.
Yeah, we're doing awesome.
My wife is now nodding. What am I doing wrong?
I said K.O.
K.O. K.O. Folks, today it's going to be a free-for-all. Kira, how you doing over there?
I'm doing good. I'm sweating.
She's sweating now. Okay, it's a little hot here. To her right is a very cool cookie, another person I try to talk out of the music business. Her name is Elizabeth Quintanilla from Peru, now by way of Los Angeles, California. She's also one of our RenmanU students, and she's a brave soul here listening to me for the last couple days. Folks, we want you to ask questions. Kira, tell the folks how they can do that, please.
All right, so you can talk to us in the chat room on the event page. Hopefully you've arrived there because it's a whole new setup we got for you.
Yeah, let me show you. Ooh, see, there's a nice little. Okay, perfect. Okay.
So you can put in your questions there. Liz is overlooking it. We have a hotline that's ringing off the hook already.
All righty, let me put the hotline now. Folks, for full disclosure here today, I am your captain, okay?
Scary.
Not just a pretty voice. I'm actually driving this freaking wreck with a little help from Kira.
Yeah.
Okay, so the hotline number, which some smart souls already figured out, 310-469-9067. Not far off from Nicole's favorite line here, okay? So that's back to the thing. Here's our new web player here, Kira, that we just hooked up. Again, I'm just going to show freaking Nicole right now because I feel like I'm tired. There she is. Say hello, Nicole. I'm going to give you a nice drum roll introduction here in a minute, too. But I'm killing all this time. Now, back to Net 1 here. We've got this new player that we decided to get involved with here, Nick. First time, so no shortage of tricks here. So anyway, folks, if you click on that little chat button, you can post your questions there. If you click on this little button down here, past shows, you can see all 110 shows. It'll load here in a second for you. So check it all out. There's a couple other tabs on here. RenmanU down here where you can go and learn about our web course. Ask Renman. We're going to do a little Ask Renman here in a minute. Nicole Alvarez. Okay, see, I'm going to give this to you and see maybe you can run the whole show here.
No, it's been really fun just sitting here watching you try and pilot this and do the show, and it's just, you're so relaxed about everything.
Folks, for the record, I am not doing marching powder. Coffee, yes, but nothing else. This is just a natural kind of buzz I'm on right now.
He wakes up like this.
I've been in here at 5 o'clock stressing out. Maybe that's Cody calling in right now, helping us with the sound. Anyway,
Cody.
Exactly. Damn Cody.
Damn Cody.
Anyway, we're back to that Net 1 here for a second, folks. All kinds of tricks in there you can check out. You know, it tells you what's now playing. It'll tell you about upcoming shows. You can click over here and check our Twitter feed. You can sign up for our newsletter, which is a great way to keep in touch, and you can click the little theater button, which makes it much bigger there for you. So anyway, that's our new player. We're going to have a whole bunch of new tricks in this too. We can do polls during the show.
You've come
Nicole,
such a long way.
We have. We're going to talk about that in
the stages. I am really proud here.
You know, Nicole's being really nice and gracious with me because you work at a professional organization where they do this for a living.
Yeah, but I'm going to compliment you, and you're going to sit there and take a deep breath and take this compliment. It's simple. When I was your first guest. We'll get to that. I was your first guest, and it was what, 3 years ago?
3 years ago on July 25th.
And is it safe to say that at the time you didn't really know what you were doing? You just know that you had this passion in your heart that was driving you, and you needed to do this. It was like a calling that came from somewhere.
Safe, but hard to say.
Okay.
But safe.
The setup was quite different. Like the fancy curtains, the couch. None of this was kind of, let's say, user friendly.
Well, let me just, while we're ad-libbing here, let me show you, okay? Whoa. Let's go back over here. There was our first show with Nicole.
Look, we've always had a special bond.
We have had a special bond there, yeah. My wife put the orange juice out there, and I think Vicky Backen was in charge of the flowers.
That was the one thing on my tour rider.
We had some flowers here.
I wanted orange juice.
And a clean desk, okay. Then we had another moment here when I went to the kind of fireside chat. Look.
In that uncomfortable chair, because you were you comfortable in that chair?
Actually, it is a very comfortable chair.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
I mean, but look, now you've got a nice leather swivel.
This isn't
thing
even
going
my
on.
chair. By the way, we may have Kira. You got my chair. Okay. And then on another incarnation, Nick. There we were.
Oh my God, I took over. That was fun.
Nicole is our own host of the show with our favorite beast who will be around here again. Okay. So, God, it took me about 2 minutes to go really off the thing here. So, anyway, on that whole video player thing, I want to did I say Frank?
Yeah.
I want to thank Chris Porter from the folks at Maestro who've helped us put this whole thing together. So, you'll see various things coming up in the player during the show here. And feel free to multitask, and hopefully they'll do better than me. Now,
you've got it. You're doing well.
Okay, now Nicole, now the formal introduction here.
Let's do this.
Let me go back to the way this should be. See, now you're in mystery here.
Okay.
Our guest today is one of the top radio personalities in the alternative music world, perhaps just the world in general. She has hosted the 6P to 9P slot
10P.
of 10P.
You're taking an hour from me?
Taking an hour. Okay.
10.
I knew you got people close to their bedtime, and I should remember that's when I go to bed.
We were at a 3 hour for a little bit, and then we just went back to 4 hours. Not that long ago.
Okay. So do you get a little extra pay for that extra hour?
No.
No, of course not. It's showbiz. There's a lesson. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Anyway, you are one of the most passionate lovers of music and artists that anybody could possibly imagine. Our dogs are safely outside. You're also a dog lover.
I love just yummy, awesome things that make you feel good, as everybody should.
Yeah, and this is your 4th visit to our show, so can I qualify as a big furry beast?
Absolutely. You keep me on my toes, Renman.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome my good friend, Nicole Alvarez.
Thank you.
All right, Kira's going to be driving on the shots from now on. Thank you, Kira. All right. Applause, keys. It's a big, long round of applause. As we just mentioned, you were our very first guest on the show way back when. And when I first started this, you're right, I had no idea what I was doing, except that I knew there were people out there that gave a shit about music, and you were one that came to mind for certain. And I'm glad you actually did it, and you've come back and joined us 2 or 3 times. And so I'll just thank you again for coming back, because when we started to realize we had a 3rd anniversary, I thought, well, shit, Showbiz Instinct, I got to invite you back,
I was looking for a reason to come back. But you know what I wanted to ask you is, so you knew that there was passionate people, but did you know when you first had this idea, when it sparked in your mind, did you know that you just wanted to sit on that side and like interview people? And what was your idea? Like,
I'm going to be honest, when I first started the whole website, right, we put up these videos on YouTube, and I had this very, talented young man that my wife introduced me to, and who helped me put together these videos. But the whole time I kept saying, dude, I want to do a video. I want to do a web show, because there's no question I have a little bit of ham in me. I love talking about the music business.
No, you don't.
And I had a paying gig, so it was easy, right? It was no big deal. And so we started, but every show we booked, and even now to some degree, was like, what are you doing next? And it was like one after the other, after the other, after the other. And so when I do look back, and we'll show you some great clips and stuff over the course of the next X number of minutes from the show here, and now I look back and think, if there's a lesson for folks out there, it's sometimes you just follow your nose, your heart, or your passion, right? And it's easy to overthink it, I think, sometimes, and I know I'm an overthinker. But if you just keep showing up, sometimes some good things happen. And I think over the last 3 years, I've kind of figured out what this whole show is all about now. It's really about...
You found your voice.
Well, I think I've figured out what our true north is here, right? Okay. If you want to learn about the music business, you got to ask questions, right? And it helps to have smart people to ask questions. Well, I'm sure people have asked you at gigs. I know you're very sociable, how to get in the radio. They're asking your advice all the time, right?
It's the inside scoop, and when you start to put all that information together, you've got these pieces that they're bands that think they want to be rich and famous, or they want to be on stage. There is more to it. This is a business, and there are so many different people, and yes, a band could do it themselves, but you got to know the ins and outs. You just have to.
Yeah, and there's no question, and the best way to learn faster is by hanging out and asking questions of smart people. And I say it to young folks, and they think it's too simple, which is, you want to get smarter? Hang out with smarter people. Want to learn about being a radio person? Hang out with people that understand and are successful in the radio. You want to learn how to play great golf? Hang out with Tiger Woods if you can, right? So the show has become a great networking vehicle. Liz Quintanilla back there, who we talked to earlier, I met her through the show. She's got a meeting with a big manager by the name of Sarah Stennett. I'll let you drive again, Kira. That was hooked up through our show, where people are actually now getting a chance to talk to folks like yourself, and hopefully we'll get some calls in here today. So that networking part of it, which is the biggest, I think, obstacle, we talked about when you were first on the show. How do you get to those people, right?
Exactly.
That can actually help you. And so it provides a nice place for people to network. Something like this just didn't exist when you and I were starting in the business.
No, and this is a testament to you. There's a lot of people that won't have the access to the people they need to talk to, so you having this and bringing in all the right people, the people that are connected, this is what they need. This is all they need. You're doing a really good thing here, Renman.
I appreciate that, and I certainly get a lot of feedback from folks, and that's just another little mishap in here.
Shit happens.
Nope.
But look, it landed. It didn't even. I am impressed.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm going to do when this is done today?
Have a tequila.
Yeah, I'm going right to my favorite nut house, Bel Air Country Club. I'm going to hit a pile of rocks.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's been fun to get that feedback and provide that place where people can have that discovery of, am I really on the phone with Troy Carter? Yeah, you are.
You've had some impressive guests, by the way.
And let me tell you what's even more impressive about those guests, and the folks that have watched the show have seen it. I can't tell you how many of my guests on this show that I was just happy to see them show up, have given out their email address or talked to people on the phone well after the show was over. And I can't tell you how gratifying it is to see friends of mine in the business that have been on the show that I think just coming in because, I can't tell them no, and they came in here, and then I'll see them somewhere else and they'll go, Rennie, you actually have some people watching that show. Every time I go somewhere, some young kid will come up to me, and it's a great place to start a conversation with big players if you start and say, hey, I saw you on Renman Live. So it's fun to see that. But the thing that's most impressive is that the people took the time to show up, and many of them went beyond the call of duty. And that speaks to the best side of the people in the music business, I think, right? Yep. And the final thing I've learned over doing this over the last 3 years, with the help of Cody, who I'm kidding about. We're going to get to him in 2 seconds.
Minnesota Cody?
Minnesota Cody, who I'm kidding about today, but Cody, Noti, I would be kidding about him, right? Is that he helped talk me into taking all this knowledge that kind of floats around and people have to kind of figure it out for themselves, to put it into an actual course, which I don't know if you've seen our RenmanU course. I'm going to show you a little bit of it later here. But that was the final piece of this thing, which is, Ren, you got to stop bagging on the colleges. If you want to bag at them, then you be the professor. So we put together this wonderful course, I think, that might be the best overview of the music business from an insider's point of view, not an academic, not one of these faux internet experts that, you've never heard of in your life. And so it's really become kind of a complete package, and that's how I met Liz over there. I met Kira through the show. I met Cody through the show. Virtually everybody that's working. We had Joseph Pepolonius, who's in North Carolina, great musician, talented producer, who's now moving out to LA to get involved. So it's been really, really gratifying.
So am I calling you professor now?
No. Okay. No, you can call me anything. I don't consider myself a professor. I prefer mentor more than that.
But there's a nice ring to it, like professor, mentor, Ren.
How about the dean of RenmanU?
The dean of Renman.
The dean.
I'll take it.
Now, I know I've told you that you're the first one for me. Okay, but that's not totally true. Okay. Anyway,
what are you about
a more
to say?
accurate description of our very first guest would be you're the very first guest that actually survived our little penchant for faux pas. There was actually
kill off the first one.
Not digitally speaking, it was involuntarily manslaughter. It was an accident, okay? And we have that gentleman on the line, I believe, right now.
Wait, who is this person?
Who is this guy? I'm going to show you right now. Whoop, wrong picture there. There he is. His name is Fred Chrishell. Fred, are you on the line with us? Okay, got to put him in the broadcast. Okay, there we go.
Fred,
can you hear me?
I sure can.
Oh, there you are. So I had to do a little confessing here,
yes.
Fred, both to Fred, who I always wondered whether, Fred, you ever checked online to see if your episode had showed up. And since he never called me, I thought, okay, maybe he didn't look. But Fred, the truth is...
so he thinks that he was your first guest, and I thought that I'm your first guest? What are you trying to do here?
I've still been searching for myself.
Well, you know what? I've been searching for myself for years here, Fred, and thankfully, I still have some time left here. But Fred here, if you don't know, Nicole, is a wonderfully. I had a chance to work with Fred at Sony Music, and back there we called him Freddie. You can flip back and forth between us there, or Kira. I'm gonna call her Cody all day. At Sony, and we called him Freddie Crow Sales because there was no more enthusiastic, no more, professional, no more great vibe guy than Freddie Chrishell. So I asked him to come on and talk about marketing, promotion, and management, which he did. And then we fucked you, Fred,
I got lost into oblivion. What can I say?
Yeah, well, you know what? Fred, so I wanted you two lovers to meet so I could clear my conscience. I started thinking about you this weekend, Fred, when I was watching this episode on the History Channel of the Lost Pyramid, and that's when I started to have a little guilt pang.
Fred is you're his lost pyramid, Fred.
Exactly. So, Fred,
oh my God, are you gonna bring me back or what?
I would like to bring you back. I have an opening on August 12th here. Are you available?
I am looking at my calendar, and we're talking like what time of day?
Wednesday, 10 a.m. But we'll work around you, Fred.
You got it. No, I absolutely can do it Wednesday the 12th, 10 a.m.
He likes it when you're here at 9:30.
Exactly. That's true. Actually, I was in here at 5 o'clock stressing out. Fred, I want to thank you so much. Look at me just pumping around here all day. Fred, I want to thank you for forgiving me, and I'll look forward to seeing you on August 12th. For all you folks out there, Fred's a manager, understands distribution, marketing, and promotions, done it at the highest level, worked for everybody from Madonna to the Deftones, who we know, and so forth. So it'll be a lot of fun, Fred, and I thank you for giving me a second shot to get it right.
You got it, and I look forward to it. And by the way, I'm still having fun. Okay?
Right. Good.
Still having fun.
Good.
Awesome.
Well, we'll definitely have some fun with you. Fred, thanks so much for calling in, and I will see you in a couple of weeks, my friend.
We'll see you on the 12th. Thank you.
Perfect.
Bye, Fred. I'm still first.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's true. You're still absolutely you're first. You know,
because
it's like
technically, if there's no footage, it never happened.
you know, that's the way it works in this world. Only I knew that there was actually footage, and God only. I mean, you know, we've had some interesting, but we're doing better here today. Now let me get back on my script today.
You're doing beyond better. You're doing well because look at what you've managed. We had a little slight almost disaster happen before we hit the air that got resolved a millisecond prior to us going on the air. You're driving and you're speaking at the same time. I'm proud as hell.
It's very, and with no artificial, help here, you know.
Copy.
Isn't it funny though? How many times have you been to shows? I know you have to go out and introduce shows and stuff. How many shows have you been at that a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes before it's supposed to go, there is an absolute freaking train wreck happening, right?
So many.
So many. And how many of them actually didn't happen?
No, you know what? Only one that I can think of because it was AFI and Pennywise at the House of Blues on Halloween, and it was raining terribly that night, and I was supposed to broadcast live. I was dressed in my costume. We pull up, the power went out at the House of Blues. So many thousands of people outside, pouring rain. I had just gotten to KROQ, mind you. There was nobody going to be on the air starting like at 10 o'clock. And then I remember one of my bosses, Gene Samblu, told the driver, get her in the car, get her back to KROQ, get her back to KROQ. And they flew me there. So that show didn't go down the way it was planned, but they got me back to the studio.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that Gene, because I can just see in my mind's eye Gene coming unhinged.
And he was dressed as, that year he was dressed as either Sigmund or Freud, the one not the one that got bitten, the other one.
Oh,
and he had a sign that said now hiring. It was nuts.
Perfect,
but,
that is freaking nuts.
Yeah, but for the most part, when there's little snafus, they come together 10 seconds before go time.
And you know why?
Why?
Because the show must always go on. Okay, and it actually, strangely enough, does for, God, thank God for that. So, another little bit we want to talk about. Over the course of these last 3 years, we've had all these smart folks on the show, artists, musicians, record company agents, managers, radio personalities, program directors, Lisa Worden, and so forth, right? So we struggle with how to actually kind of highlight some of those things for folks in the context of an hour show here, right? So what we decided to do was an idea that I've had on my list forever, which would be, how about if we did 2-minute bits of the greatest advice on insert whatever in 2 minutes, right? For the 2 minute attention span. So today, we're going to actually make good on this, and this is all courtesy of Elizabeth Quintanilla, who I tried to talk out. She wouldn't listen. Elizabeth, Peru.
Like
and she did some editing while Cody was river rafting. All right, Cody. So we were river rafting here, bud. Yeah. Freaking right into the rocks. Okay, anyway, Elizabeth did a fine job here. What it lacks in style, it makes up for in love. So here's the first little 2-minute bit of some of the great moments of Renman Live. Here you go,
One of the only interviews that I get to say fuck constantly.
Oh, you can. Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
The most important thing in the music industry is this particular motion right here. Somebody goes in their pocket, takes out some money, and pays for a piece of music.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
I booked M83 for something like 7 years or something. Got radio, and it went crazy. They're gonna sell at Hollywood Bowl this fall.
Publishing, if you have success, you can never work out how much money there is.
You can have the greatest marketing plan in the world, but if the music's not going to have an emotional connection to anything, then, it doesn't really matter.
I think it's important for young bands and young managers, anyone that's sort of breaking into this business, to realize that, 9.99999 times out of 10, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's a grind, and it's a lot of work that goes into it, and you need to be in it for the long haul if you want to have a successful career.
You spend as much time failing in this industry as you do succeeding.
Winners and losers. And if you want to be a winner, if somebody tells you to do something, you deliver. You come back and say it's done. That's a rare thing.
If you're trying to, come up in a business or whatever, you seriously cannot do it alone.
Any person that you meet might be a gateway to somebody else. So the nicer you are, the more helpful people can be.
Make the big time where you are. And that's the essence of it. You make the big time where you are.
The majority of my life is spent listening to music and finding a way to get it out there. no matter what.
It really is that thing of like, make the commitment to doing something and the path sort of opens up in front of you, because one thing led to another, to another, to another. And opportunity begets opportunity, I think.
I mean, I've had probably 20 to 30 failed startups. I've had hundreds of failed ideas. And it's that process of doing that actually creates the necessary infrastructure of your brain to connect the dots in future situations. And
the number one thing you have to remember when you're taking that step, making your first album, whatever it is, you have got to remember that you are not recording a live performance.
So an artist is someone who sees the overall picture.
We're back. Are we back? Unmuted? Unmutated? So, the last comment that we were talking over, because we're like little bosom buddies here. You talked about artists and your love of artists, right? What is it about artists that you love so much?
They convey what you feel that you don't necessarily know how to put into words, and they give you a place to put your emotions. They create what we all have inside of us.
You're not a musician, are you, or anything?
No, but I want to be so bad. I can play the harmonica and a little bit of the piano, but I have the passion to be in the music industry, but I'm not a performer.
Do you consider yourself a bit of a performer when you're on the radio?
Absolutely. You have to be. You're an entertainer. You have to find a way to talk about the music, and you have to find a way to get the people out there to relate to you, and you have to make them laugh, and you have to tap into a part of yourself where you're kind of the master of ceremonies.
And sometimes you got to keep them in line. If you haven't had a chance to listen to Nicole on the radio, she's very cheery and this and that.
I'm sassy.
But when you get some freaking dick on the phone, man,
I'll tell him.
You kind of let them know what's going on there.
Some guy called in and he called me ma'am, and I was like, no need to call me ma'am. This is not the South, and I'm not a mature woman. And then he goes, fine, what up, bitch? And I was like, I will fucking kill you.
That was not the segue that guy should have been looking for. No.
That's not the way to talk to people.
No, that's not good.
So yeah, I'll put people, I'll try and do it politely at first, but I think we have a duty to help people be better than what they're being.
Yeah, well, ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Speaking of great artists, right? We've been lucky to have some unbelievable artists on the show. And because my memory's so faded, I'll leave some. We've had Nate Roos, one of my golfing buddies. M. Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold, another golfing buddy. Steve Vai.
M is a golfer?
Huh?
M is a golfer?
M is, no, not just a golfer. Like, sick golfer.
I am going to rag
deeply.
on it. Yeah.
All these events, by the way, as a brief aside, all these Avenged Sevenfold fans were like going, what's this old fucking guy doing with our favorite rock star, right? And then when they found out we played golf afterwards, some of these guys that were taking, shots at the old, dude, that was a dumb question. Why did you let my M Shadows talk? And then some kid goes, well, because it's his fucking show and somebody's got to ask the questions.
They did the same to me.
Did they do that to you?
They did that to me. I had to I hosted this thing with Avenged
It's a rough
Sevenfold.
crowd.
And I had said something, or Avenged tweeted me, and they got mad because why are you tweeting me and not them? And it was mostly in Brazil, and they went nuts. But then Avenged was like, lay off her, and then they turned it around. But they're just super passionate about their band.
Yeah, they are. And
they bleed Avenged Sevenfold, which
they
you
definitely
have to,
Yeah. And he's a very, very, very solid guy. Forget that he plays golf. He understands it. That's your kind of perfect management. I mean, some guy with talent, dedication, and all of that stuff, and a really good guy.
Realistic, knows about the business.
But
he's awesome.
But a passionate crowd, but an even more passionate crowd, uglier crowd is the fans for Rush. Man, I got so many lame, not lame, but they were like taking pot shots. I felt like some wounded singer didn't want to read the paper anymore because of all the, dude, I don't like that guy's voice, or all kinds of wacky stuff.
That's so nuts to me. Now that we have the internet where people can voice those kind of stupidities, but listen, if you're a fan of a band, you're not honoring your band by being rude to the person that they're being interviewed by, or just present yourself well. Honor your band by being classy.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And when we have artists on the show, we go out of our way to get as many of the fan questions in the act there as possible. So, but I take it with a grain of salt, but I have been known when people let me know how they feel, I have been known to respond and say, well, thank you for spending that time giving me your comments. Now let me tell you what I think of you. And there's a couple of choice ones out there. And I always find that these people that are the loudest, wisest guys, as soon as you respond back to them, they all lay down like Duke when I say, sit down, right? Yeah. Because they love one-way, no responsibility conversation. Anyway, I digress, folks. We've had some great artists that have actually performed in this studio. Lots of them were independent artists, but not all of them. One of them was Hannah Pestel, who was on one of our shows with Nicole Alvarez, who did an unbelievable version of Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen, that you wanted to hear.
Yeah, that was incredible.
We were going to show that today, but we didn't have time. But there was one in particular that really stuck out for me. It was a band called Ex-Ambassadors, who's having a lot of success right now.
Incredible success right now.
And we're going to talk to their managers in a second. But I wanted to play you a song that they did that I thought that should have been a hit long ago, right? But what was interesting, they came in there, they were a little reluctant. It was like, okay, they're dragging their stuff up there into this guy's office, and I know the looks like, oh my God, what the fuck are we getting into? And then they wound up playing 3 or 4 songs, and Sam Harris, the singer of the band, reminded me of Brandon Boyd in this sense. And we used to call Brandon One Take Boyd, because man, you didn't have to do 10 takes. He'd nail it right out of the box, and I watched him play 1,000 shows, and maybe 3 or 4 nights his voice wasn't there. So I want to play you one of the greatest moments of music, because this show is about music as well. And while I spend a lot of time talking with business folks, it is about the music. It starts with great songs and great performances. And I want to share you one that kind of hinted at what's in the Ex-Ambassadors. Okay. All righty. Oh, wow. I love that song, Unconsolable.
They're in a really good place right now. They had their song Renegades in a car commercial that got super popular, because nowadays people are finding music through commercials.
Well, you know what?
Commercial's done right. There's nothing wrong with it.
Go ahead, sorry.
And then, no, I'm just saying they're in a great place. They're experiencing nice success right now.
Let's talk to one of the gentlemen. Behind every great man is a woman. And behind every great band is a manager. It could be a woman or a man. And I happen to have spent a lot of time with a young, very talented young guy who's the manager of Ex-Ambassadors, who's on the phone with us right now. His name is Seth Kallen. Seth, are you there?
I am here. How's it going?
Good. How you doing? I'll put your picture up there. There you are, Seth. By the way, Seth, fine promo shot there.
Nice one.
Isn't that a good shot, hon?
I can thank my wife, who's a photographer, who makes me look okay in photos sometimes. So it's nice to have her around.
She made you look great, Seth. For Christ's sake, I'd go buy her something, you know. At any rate, I wanted to, first introduce you to Nicole Alvarez, one of the top music folks here in town, and say that I've been trying to get Seth on the show here. Are we going to be able to sort out a date, Seth, for you to come in and talk about all the success you guys are having right now?
I hope so. I want to do the return to the Renman, hopefully sometime this summer.
Well, hopefully we can get a date done. Let me ask you this. What's up with the guys right now? They got a big hit happening on the radio with Renegades. What are they up to? Are they out touring?
Yeah, at the moment, the guys are, they just started a tour this week in New York with Milky Chance. So that started at Central Park Summer Stage on, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday night. They're, I think, in Chicago on that tour. And yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty insane couple of months. As you know, it's been kind of amazing watching the ups and downs of the band over the last couple years. And, last summer we had a pretty big hit in many ways with the song Jungle. But, this is the first time that not only did we have a song that's kind of been a massive sync, but it's really translated to radio and now sales, and the album's selling and the tickets are selling. So it's been really crazy to watch. And I think from some people's perspective, it's, this brand new band came out of nowhere and has a song in a Jeep commercial. But, for us, they've been around for many years, and I've been managing them for probably 4 or 5 years now, and they've been hustling and touring and releasing EPs and singles, and it's really kind of having a real moment right now with Renegades, and we're really thrilled about it.
Well, you know what, I can say this, Nick, that Seth's been a loyal manager and doing all the right things. And for all the folks out there watching, you know, when you see a band like the Ex-Ambassadors pop out of nowhere, it rarely is them popping up out of nowhere. And it's usually the result of a lot of work and a lot of sweat and commitment from people like Seth Kallen. So Seth, I'm hoping that you'll find some time to come in and talk about it, because I have all kinds of questions, and I also want people, you know, aspiring managers to understand what it really is to be a manager, and for aspiring artists who are looking for a manager to understand what a great young manager looks like. And so I just want to thank you for sharing and approving your guys coming up the driveway to play those great songs. And I'm glad it didn't get you in any trouble there, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, we loved coming up there and playing, and, you know, I think it just shows that, I mean, look, for a band to really build a real fan base and to really, you know, have a foundation to launch from, the band's got to be out there doing everything, making friends, performing on internet shows and visiting college radio stations, and, you know, eventually you hope that a critical mass comes from it and you reach a little bit of a tipping point. And we are extremely lucky that the commercial happened, and then it's translated to radio stations liking it, and but, you know, more importantly, people liking the song. And, you know, but it's really come from the band hustling and working hard for a very long time. And yeah, and their manager doing the same thing.
And a manager doing a good job. I know you can't say it, but I can. You've done a great job. And give my best to Sam and all the guys there. And I look forward to seeing you when you get out here in L.A. And continued success for all you guys. You freaking deserve it, my friend.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got it. Now off to your vacation.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you guys.
See you later, Seth.
Bye.
What a great guy, you know. I used to have a guy named Seth Kallen that worked for me. Who do we have here? Matt, can you just kind of tilt the camera over just a little bit right here so we can see this little amigo? There you go. Look at this. A reunion of sorts.
I love you.
You're a dog lover, are you not, Nicole?
I'm an animal lover. I just look. How do you not love this?
He's loving you. Look at him. He just let me just lick your hand there.
I'm gonna have to wash my hands after. No offense, Duke.
Look at that face. You know, it's funny. Duke has been a little under the weather lately. He's getting a little bit older, but true to his showbiz lineage, you know, you put the red light on and all of a sudden you lit up today, Duke, okay?
He's never looked better, by the way.
He's very handsome. I mean, and I wish you could get a picture of our other guy here who is just very relaxed on his own right there. There we go. Okay, thank you, Matt. There's our other guy here. Okay, wow, okay.
Can I touch upon something really quick?
Sure, absolutely.
After
touch on
speaking
whatever.
to him, it's important. It's so important who bands pick as their manager. Not just somebody who gets caught up in the trappings of, you know, that rock and roll lifestyle. You have to have an almost humble yet very driven human being, somebody that you connect with that's working for you and that has the passion. You got to choose your managers wisely.
Or choose your partners wisely.
Yeah.
But I'll sound somewhat biased. But even if I hadn't been a manager, that manager is probably the most important decision you'll make after you pick your partners to make the music. Yeah. And the successful acts, by and large, have had a long-running manager for the whole of it, if not, you know, pretty much. Though I had a nice ride with my friends in Incubus for almost 17 years. Yep. And you'll see with successful bands, there's a disproportionate, huge number of bands that are really successful that had the same manager from the get-go, and it's not coincidental. Nick,
yes,
Renegades, great song. By the way, folks, if you haven't seen it pop up on our new player here, we've got some new T-shirts and the like called the Renegade. Sure, be a renegade, right? That is one of my favorite songs of the year. In fact, about 2 months ago, I heard it on the radio, and I'd seen it in a commercial. I'm driving out somewhere, and I called up Seth and go, "Hey, Seth!" And I left on his message, "That's a fucking unbelievable song. Is that your new single?" Right? Just, you know, crazy stuff, because the song catches your attention and breaks through your clutter. What are some of your favorite songs of 2015 as somebody that listens to a lot of them?
Oh, off the cuff. Renegades is one of them, because anything that speaks about, like, rebels and pioneers and pirates, like that whole, you know, like that whole fuck the gatekeepers attitude, I love. Hound Loudmouth is a band that I love. That song Sedona, I can hear it over and over again. But my favorite song of the year so far, I have one, and it's Cold War Kids First. Yeah,
you know what?
that's
Cold
the
War
one.
Kids, and I hope hopefully if they're watching, great. You know, maybe they'll come on our show. They're one of those bands that I kind of qualify as close, but no bananas. That just happened to be here. How my mind work. You know, where they've had a couple that didn't quite connect, right? And I listen to, KROQ. I listen to Alt Nation a lot when I'm driving around and stuff. So they started playing this song, right? And I heard the voice, and I kind of knew the voice. And I'm not a huge Cold War Kids fan, but that is a great freaking song. And after hearing it 5 or 6 times, I thought, that's a potential breakthrough song where a band puts together all the elements that they might have hinted at, right, but didn't quite get there.
Great way of putting it.
And then Close But No Bananas turns into boom, give me the trophy. So hopefully there'll be some good things.
It's their first ever top 10 single.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good for them. Patience, folks. It rarely happens in a day, and I can't remember which of my mentors told me along the way. He goes, Rennie, bands and artists go away as fast as they came, right? So if you happened out of nowhere and you really were one-hit wonder, they tend to go bye-bye very quickly. Psy comes to mind, and a few others, But the ones that take a while, you actually build something underneath it, and it tends to last a little longer. How we doing over there, Duke? Yeah, I'm not sure he hears that well anymore. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have a whole bunch of great tidbits of information and advice from all of our folks out here. So I want to play you another little tube. How long is this clip here, Kira?
I can edit it. So.
Okay, well, we're going to just find out, okay? So anyway, here's another tips from the pros, part 2. Take it away.
There's a term called blind faith, and I have a lot of it. Yeah. I'm an endless dreamer. I've never seen something as absolutely impossible. Like, if there's something I want to do, it's that little girl in me that's like, I'm going to do that when I grow up. I will always do it.
The girl said, describe your music, and I said, it's a freight train full of fuck yeah.
I mean, you have highs and lows. You just have to be with somebody who believes there'll be highs again.
Yeah. Well, if you can't take a beating, don't be a manager.
Exactly.
So you either went out and built it or it just didn't get done.
If I like 1 or 2 things, I'm happy with that. I really hate everything. So
you're the only person on that entire tour that got us that case of beer and that pizza. So let's do it.
I'm a big believer that passion is going to help to lead to success. And you might well get someone who you think is a big name or a big name booking agent, but if they're not passionate about your act, then it's not worth anything.
You generally need a label for scale. So if you want to actually be a big artist and actually reach the world and have a lot of and hit all those touch points, which are very difficult to hit, you need an army.
Today, every day, people are reinventing what the music industry is today. And it's the way I look at it is it's a river, not a lake.
Yeah.
Okay? It's moving.
Number one problem you have is not getting paid by anybody for your recordings. It's obscurity. It's getting someone to listen whatsoever.
What's better than Coachella? 2 Coachellas.
My phone.
You know what I love about the internet, right? And when you don't get paid, it's like, what do I have to worry about, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, before I used to wonder if anybody was, by the way, is anybody calling in today? You freaking shy folks? All right. We were going to do some Ask Renman stuff. That's what we're doing next. Okay. I told you one of the big things you got to do to learn the business, right, is to ask questions. So usually I have a little section of the website called Ask Renman. And for you folks that are watching on our brand new player, and if you're on YouTube, get over on our player here. You click on that Ask Renman button. There are some answers to a lot of frequently asked questions. So I have a section on the site where people can post their questions, and a lot of people post the same question over and over and over again.
Which is, what's the most common question?
Am I too old? The questions I hate are like, can you tell us how to promote our music? It's like, wow, that's pretty broad one here, right?
It's a really broad question.
So at any rate, but I try to be patient. I answer them all, and I type in the answers. And when I'm not feeling energetic enough type, I'll just put the camera on and go. So today I thought, since I have Nicole Alvarez, who's been in the music business, has a little experience under her belt, that perhaps we would go ahead and take some questions from our Ask Renman thing. So let's go here and take one here. I'll see if I can read this. Okay, this is from, who's that? It's from Bruce, okay, is his name. Bruce says, hey, Renman, I'm a hip-hop artist from Columbus, Ohio. After performing locally for a year, I'm ready to branch out and perform in other cities within the state. What are the first steps I need to take to begin this process without a pre-existing fan base? And if I ask you that question, Nick, what would you say?
Well, if I were him, excuse me, if I were him, research goes a long way, my friend. Research goes a long way. Research whatever city you're going to. Find out the hip-hop clubs. Find out the local hotspots. Call there. Ask them what is, like you say, you don't ask, you don't get. But research. You find the hotspots. You go to the hip-hop clubs and even get there. Like we have an LA Weekly and LAist. Go to whatever they have. See what the clubs that most people go to are, that most bands are playing. Try and book it, see what the fee is, see how many of your friends you could get to go there. Just put in the legwork.
Yeah, and by the way, see, and so what's interesting about that is Nicole is not a manager, but you understand what it is. And so many people ask me questions. I don't want to bust Bruce's balls here, right? But the answers to most music business questions are not that tricky. No. You know what I mean? You want to get a gig, you want to get a date, you want to get a job, you got to ask the questions. The good news is, okay, and obviously it would be great if you had a big-time manager and a big-time agent who could do that for you, as we were discussing. Maybe you'll be my producer.
You could do it yourself in the beginning of the stages.
But unlike when I started in the business, right, there are some wonderful resources out there. And Elizabeth, write down this in the chat room. There's a great site for you folks called IndieOnTheMove.com. And if you go on our website and type in IndieOnTheMove.com or go to YouTube and type in IndieOnTheMove.com, you'll see a clip there with the guy who ran the site. He was a former musician who went out and played a bunch of gigs all around, so we got very familiar with how difficult it was to get information. And so he started a website and put together a database of all these clubs that you can play all around America, right? The capacity, who to talk to, the address, size of stage, and so forth. So if you're going to start booking a tour, Bruce, those are the kind of resources you can plug into now that weren't there previously. But I'm going to give you one bit of advice that no artist wants to hear. If you're not doing business in your hometown, okay, where you live, where you have family and friends,
not time to tour yet.
It's not time to branch to the next city, okay? Because in the music business and in life, you get a scorecard for how you're doing. And what I found is sometimes, myself included, we don't want to look at the scorecard because it's not telling us what we want to know. But if you're going to do this seriously and you're going to spend the time to go to these cities,
conquer your city.
You need to own your city.
Yep,
right?
conquer your city.
You know, and if you got that part, that's your first sign. Doesn't mean you need to be doing 1,000 people, but you need to be making some progress there.
Can I throw in also in your city? I'm sure he knows, but you find the hottest hip hop clubs. You go during the day. You find out who plays the music and who's the DJ. You try and give them a single, the one you think would be played at the club, right? He can sneak it in if you sell yourself well enough and you're charming, because charisma gets you a long way. They play it, people react. That's how you start. You gotta start at the door.
And when people are hearing you on the radio, if you're lucky enough to have Nicole Alvarez going, and by the way, here's a great new single from artist X, that airplay can drive people to your show more than anything out there. So those are some things to think about, Bruce, and hopefully that helps you. Want to take one more?
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Dealing with assholes in powerful positions. This is one that I probably could be an expert on. It says, Renman, let me see if I can read this one from a distance. Mal from Costa Rica, and I fucking love your course and your show. Well, thank you very much. He's officially obsessed. Okay, there's no way I could explain how important the thing is. Okay, I'll let you folks read all that. Something I love about how you teach is that when you're telling us that this business is tough, it's clear that you respect artists and you want to see us succeed. It's something I see in your guests too, like Nicole Alvarez here. You're all people I'd love to do business with. But then there's people like this prick. And he left us a YouTube URL.
Link.
Now, I'm not going to play the video right now, but I have watched the video.
Wait, he's saying, what he's saying is true, but what does it say?
Yes,
but he has this dick attitude that, okay.
Keep it up. Hang on. Sorry, I want to have you finish that.
I think I got the gist of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he wants to know, how do How do you deal, how often do you run into assholes like this in the music business with this question? And how would you handle things if, for example, your label changed staff and you suddenly found this douchebag as your point of contact?
Listen, buddy, you're good. This is the music industry. It is full of egos and
douchebags. We're going to revisit that before. I got another great clip I'm going to play.
But there's also a lot of people that are not. And you have to be very careful not to confuse a straight shooter that's blunt and has no time to mess around.
Mm-hmm.
It just, time is money.
Yeah.
There are people that are straight shooters that can be perceived as assholes, and then there's actual assholes. So you need to know the difference. That's very important.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, when you're dealing with difficult people and you have to deal with them, you sort it out, you figure it out. And I wouldn't necessarily start by calling them a douchebag or an asshole. I might save that for the last pitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what he said in his email? He said I guess the video, the guy, whatever he's saying is true. Well, if you're dealing with him in person, I would start by recognizing, you know what? You have a point there. So don't just go straight for you're a fucking dick. Just be like, no, you have a point.
In defense of this guy,
what?
I actually watched the video.
Oh,
right?
Please do tell.
And it was a very handsome guy, very articulate in like the faux Donald Trump setup.
What is a faux Donald Trump setup?
The look of authority, but no real authority.
Got it.
Okay? And but it's like that commercial where the guy's in his thing going, if you want to be big, you need to think big. And then all of a sudden his garage door opens and his wife goes, honey, get the fucking groceries, right? It was a little like that, right? And so I did a little homework and I was searching around to see what gave this person the authority or what experience he might have had that would have led him to these conclusions, because it was this great video of this guy talking about scarcity, and it was like he was doing a marketing 101 class for Procter & Gamble. And I sat there and thought, what is this guy ever been? I never heard of this freaking guy. How could he be in the music business, right? So you got to be tolerant of those folks. But it's actually a nice segue into something else I had on my little list of things to talk about. And it's this whole notion about people that want to learn the music business, right? And they want to ask people that have had experience and that really have some track record of doing it, right? So I decided to start a website or a course called RenmanU Insider's Guide to Today's Music Business. As the dean of RenmanU, okay, it's a course that we put together that is 150 lessons over 10 different parts of the music business. We have great little quizzes and things to test your knowledge and so forth. We have a question for someone. We'll talk about it after we get done with this. It's really a great resource. Now, we have a couple of ways for you folks. I'm doing shameless promotion, but Nicole's used to paying the bills going to commercial here. Yep. We have what's called the solo version for $99. You can check out the videos. You can learn the stuff at your own pace, skip around where you want to, and basically be on your own. And for $99, I'll be shameless about it, but it is actually the best $99 you could spend. Buy the course, don't buy another pedal. If you're a little bit more ambitious or want more direct input, we have a mentor version. Liz actually signed up for our mentor version, and she's getting the uber-duber mentor version. She hasn't requested her money back yet, so I'm going to say that's a good sign.
Look at her now.
She may be writing me a note right now going, I'm out.
No, she's here. She's in the thick of it, and she's happy and learning. It's awesome.
So for all you folks out there that, want something more than a nice suit and a very dignified background, but this is pretty dignified, right? Okay. But you actually might want a little experience with your knowledge. Check out the course, because what's great about our course is we take these little bits of interviews we've done with all these smart people, and we weave them into the course to help make the point, to let people know that the real players in this business, their themes are all very similar. Committing, doing, working, energetic, showing up, doing what it takes. Those are common themes you'll see, and it doesn't matter whether it's Nicole Alvarez or the president of a record label. I'm going to tell you, they all do it in their own unique way, but the winners all think very much the same.
I've noticed some similar vocabulary, like the word passion gets thrown around a lot, but it's because it's an absolute truth in this business. You've got to have it to survive.
Well, because you wind up eating shit so many times,
many
right? That you gotta actually enjoy
so
that.
much shit eating, so many assholes. You really gotta want it bad.
Yeah, but it does make for the people that are really good, and there are tons of great people in the business
Amazing
too, you know.
people.
But sometimes the ugly makes you appreciate the beautiful stuff a little bit more, even though it's painful in the short term, right?
Hey, but it builds character. Falling on your ass time and time again and putting in the legwork and dealing with assholes and navigating this industry, it builds character.
Yeah.
And it's you end up pretty thick-skinned, and it's a good quality.
Yeah. Like that's yeah. Wind up looking like Keith Richards' little brother. Nicole, okay, changing gears for a sec. We're going to be on to Adam in just a second, but I wanted to talk to Nicole about on something else here. How do you work at a radio station, so you're part of the process of music coming to the station, and then, Lisa and Gene and Kevin will decide, okay, we're going to play these tracks. And
Lisa, I work with the most incredible team, Kevin Weatherly, Lisa Ward, and Gene Sandbloom, and they really they're the mothership, and it comes through them, and all three of them, have a very trained, open ears, and then they present it to us, and our job is to believe in it. And if we do, which most of the stuff that they send our way, we really do. And then my trick is to find something about the song. Here's the thing about if you're wanting a song to get played or if you want people to pay attention. We listen to music because we need somewhere to put our emotions. Sad songs, you need somewhere to feel that somebody understands you and you can relate. Happy songs, you want to share it with the world. Talk to me about what you were feeling when you wrote your song. Tell me what it is that you want me to feel. Give me something to relate to, and I'm all ears. Like, if you're gonna send me a single or you're gonna write me an email, don't be like, hey, check this out. You need to say something like, when I wrote this, I was feeling this, or I was here in my life. I would love if you heard it. And then I'm gonna relate it to something similar that I went through, and I'm gonna be curious enough to check it out. You gotta be smart, and you gotta play the emotion card.
Yeah, and you got to know your customers. So if people listen to you on the radio and they're trying to make an impact, they should be smart enough to try to figure out what your buttons are and get it. Now, the truth of the matter is much great music is presented to KROQ, just because of the nature of the beast of commercial radio. Most of the great music may not ever see the light of day, or a lot of great music won't see the light of day on KROQ. I think the greatest of the great winds up making there. So my question to you is this: when you're not at KROQ and you're just Nicole Alvarez, person of the world, where do you go to discover new music and new artists?
I go, honestly, nowadays, I love my Spotify so much. They have these really great categories and subcategories. They do New Music Friday now. They put on the songs that they think are going to make it. I also I check out, there's a website I love called thescenester.com here in LA that tells you every single band that's playing on any given night. Pick one and go to a show. Word of mouth is another way. Music blogs. I don't go to Rolling Stone anymore, sadly, but Pitchfork is pretty good. I spend nights that I lay in bed with my computer here and I go just swimming around for music.
Okay, I'm going to give you a new place.
I know that's kind of broad, but you literally, and there's so much of it coming from so many places. You need to swim around and spend some time. This is me, this is my time with music, and I'm going to go out there, I'm going to see what's out there.
On our show, in addition to all these smart folks, I've gotten so many tips from fans or people that once we started doing this, say, hey, Ren, check out this site here, check out this site, and so forth. So I've come to find some sites that actually have made it their business to go out and highlight and spotlight great new music. And one of the sites I came across was a site called audiotree.tv. Let's see if I got it on here. It's called audiotree.tv. Now, it's a funny story because when we had one of our guests, or my co-host was this gal named Audrey who sent a note to the gentleman we're going to talk to here in a second, asking if they want to be on the show, and it was audiotree.tv, not audiotree.com. And so anyway, didn't happen, and then somehow we connected, and I'm glad we did. And I got a chance to meet this gentleman by the name of Adam Thurston, who I believe is on the line with us right now. Are you there, Adam?
Hey, Rennie, what's up, my man?
All right, I got you and your partner, Michael, over there. Adam is the man on the left. It looks like Clark Kent, Superman.
Yeah.
Okay, and tell tell our friend Nick a little bit about how you started the site here, and then I want to play a little something from their site here. Take it away.
Sure. Hey, Nicole, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Yeah, you know, this was something that my buddy Mike and we started about 5 years ago, and it was basically out of the necessity for, we just didn't think there was a lot of good places to, you know, go out and discover new music, and all the bands that, there's plenty of bands out there, but the difficult part is, you know, trying to find ones that we thought were, you know, were worth our time. And originally we were thinking about doing some management stuff, but what we did is we ended up coming with this idea that's, the show's called Audio Tree Live, and basically what we wanted to do is create, you know, a voice, a discovery platform for, you know, new and emerging artists to, you know, come and play our live sessions, and, you know, and come to a quality recording studio and get, you know, an awesome session recorded for them, because we knew that could be a major tool. You know, a lot of these, it's so tough to be in a band and starting out and try and go from that step of just like writing some songs in your, you know, garage or your practice space and going out and trying to find a manager or an agent and try and get on the road and play. So we thought, how can we do something that's not only going to be an asset for the bands, but also an asset for fans that can discover and kind of connect the two. So we started doing our Audio Tree Live sessions, you know, for almost 5 years ago. And I don't know, Rennie, you want to show the clip right now of Shaky?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you a little clip of something. One day, and this is a true story, I go to, you know, Adam and I gotten friendly, and we talk tech and TriCasters and all kinds of, I've actually turned into a bit of a video geek, you know. So anyway, we did a session with them, and then they bought a bunch of it. So anyway, I decided to go one day to their site, and it's like almost like throwing a freaking arrow in there. And one of the people that was there that I just literally thought, I like this guy's name, I'm going to go check this out. So I'm going to play this little clip for you, Nicole. Okay. We'll play a couple minutes and come back because we're running a little bit late here. But it's a great example of the kind of fun discoveries you'll make out there, and how much artists are doing to stand out from the crowd. So let me play this clip, and then we'll be right back to you there, my friend. All right, that's a little taste of Shaky Graves there. What do you think, Nicole? Actually, she already knew about Shaky there, Adam.
I could watch that for days, and the quality, the quality is incredible. Incredible.
I want to talk about that, because this is something that, and I'm going to do a little promo for you here, Adam, for the young bands out there. You know, when you work with a label, there's an assumption that you're going to get great creative and great production value on your photos, your videos, and all of that stuff. I think one of the disadvantages of being an independent is that you don't have access to the money and the kind of people that can make you look good, right? And then I see this site out here, audiotree.tv, right? And there's another site, and I'm blanking on it. You probably know, Adam, the guys that do the, what's the name of the site? That like Illinois, they do audio recordings.
Oh, Daytrotter.
Daytrotter, another one that I was turned on to by a fan. So anyway, I see these things here, and I'm thinking, as an old manager, right? I'm thinking, now if I'm a freaking band, okay, and I can get that level of quality, that competes with anything that a major label do. And what that is technology and the cost of technology coming. You do that on 5D cameras, Adam?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yep. Shot on all Canon 5Ds. Yep. It's exactly it.
Okay, and so what that does, folks, for all you non-technicals, I was looking for your photo here, Adam. I'm freaking losing my marbles here. There's the handsome Adam. It makes you look freaking great, and they do it with, what, 3 or 4 cameras you guys use?
Yeah, it depends on the size of the band, of course. You know, for Shaky solo, you know, like that, I think we had 3 cameras on it. But if we get a 5-6 piece band, we'll throw an extra 4th or even sometimes a 5th camera in there if need be.
Okay. Now, here's where I'm going to editorialize a little bit. Okay. You know, Adam and his friends work with a lot of independent bands. And what happens with a lot of independent bands, they want to act like they're on a major label and play tough guy, but I'm not going to give you the rights to release this or put it on YouTube and all this other stuff, right? Which begs the question of how you're going to get heard, because if Adam and his partner don't do this, you got nothing, but you own 100% of nothing. So they've worked out an interesting deal. Real quick, tell Nicole and all the folks that might be watching today how it works when you do a show with one of these artists.
Exactly. Sure. You know, you hit it on the head. It's like in the beginning, you know, a lot of these independent bands don't have any money to go out and shoot a music video or to go, you know, record a live session somewhere, and you know, money's tight in the beginning, and so that's exactly what the model that we wanted to come up with. So what we do is we do this for free for the artists. It doesn't cost anything, and we've got it down to a science where we're able to shoot it on 5Ds, which keeps the price relatively inexpensive. And then we have a band come in. The bands that come in are ones that are touring through Chicago. So basically what they'll do is it'll be, they're playing at Lincoln Hall or Shuba's later in the evening, and we'll have them load in at noon. They get all set up. We play. We do a half-hour live session. We don't mix anything in post. Everything you hear is a recording that's straight off of, straight into Pro Tools, right off the board. And it's boom right there. So we've cut down on the cost in order to do it, but we do it for these bands for free. But in exchange, what we ask them to do is to sign an agreement which allows us to put it up on YouTube and sell it on Bandcamp and put it up on Spotify and Apple Music and every other digital outlet there is out there. And so basically what we're doing is we're kind of investing in each little band as exactly that. We see the talent there. We understand that they don't have maybe they don't have a label or they don't have a manager, but they're just starting out. So that's basically what we're trying to do is create an environment where they don't have to pay anything, but they just need to allow us to put it up on those different places, and then we recoup the money to pay our costs. And then at the end of the day, once we recoup the costs that it is to produce these sessions, then we split every single dollar 50-50 with each one of these bands. So Shaky Graves, for example, is one of our most successful examples. We have about 105,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. That Roll the Bones video that you guys were just watching has, I think it's almost 2.5 million views on it. We've sold thousands of copies of that digitally of that session, and the YouTube views just continue to climb, and we've just been sending him checks ever since he did that session, and he still says he doesn't go to a show anymore without having someone come up to him at the merch table and say, "Oh man, I found out, heard about you on your Audio Tree session," because we recorded that I want to say just a little over 2 years ago when he was driving around in a conversion van, had no label, was just playing a couple shows here and there. And obviously he's taken off from there, but he's the exact example of what we're trying to do. Find a band that's on the ground level that needs some help financially and needs a professional looking video to help them track down a manager or an agent or a label. And then in exchange, they just sign our agreement, and boom, we put it up on the site, and we all work together to promote it. So
I think what you're doing, Adam. I appreciate you calling in today. But for all the artists out there, it's a new world out there, and it requires a little bit different look. But here's something that hasn't changed about the music. If you got great songs and you have great presentation, and the visuals match or exceed what people are seeing and hearing in their head when they hear that song, you're in business. So if you haven't had a chance, go to audiotree.tv, check them out. And I think it's a great place to discover music. It's a great place for artists and young managers to be calling up and handling Michael and Adam to see if they can get on the show.
Amazing.
And so forth. So, Ad, I want to thank you for calling in today. I want to thank you for the good work you're doing there, my friend.
Thanks,
you want to say something?
Yeah, Adam, it was so nice to meet you, and I cannot wait to go spend countless hours on Audio Tree and talk about it. And I'm really impressed with what I just saw, because it was simple. It's just bare bones. It's this guy and his talent. That's it. The video looks super expensive, and when things look expensive, people tend to take it more seriously. It's this weird freaking thing.
And if you don't believe that, go down and shop.
It looks beautiful.
Go shop on Rodeo Drive, you'll believe. Adam, thanks so much for calling in, man. I'll let you get back to it, and we're going to move right along here. But thanks for joining us, man.
All right, thanks, guys. Good to meet you, Nicole. Take care, Rennie. We'll talk to you soon.
I'm really impressed.
Another discovery.
You just gave me something.
Okay, see, that's impressive right there, that I could actually give you anything that looked like cool.
Unbelievable.
Really good guys, too. And for me,
I can hear it.
They're crazy fuckers to be doing this, right? I mean, they're entrepreneurs, and they love it, and they studied, sound engineering at Full Sail University, and this is what they're doing now, right? And they're having all the challenges of dealing with major labels and stuff. So I've had a chance to talk with them, but I'm really inspired by this next generation of people that want to help change the music business.
They're figuring out a new way.
Yeah, because so much about the business has changed, but some things haven't changed, like presentation, great songs, great performers. So enough on audiotree.com. I'm not a stockholder. I have no interest in this at all, but otherwise it's a great site.
And you said that they're crazy, and I've got to say, you've got to be a little bit crazy to be in this business at all.
Oh, period. Absolutely. But they're trying to find a way to make in this streaming world, and they're doing a different version of what we're doing here, but it's the same idea, and kudos to them. Speaking of streaming services, When you're not at KROQ and you're on your computer, everybody today is talking about Spotify, and now it was then it was Tidal, and then it was Beats Music.
I was never on Tidal.
Yeah, Tidal. Yeah, Matt Rennie came in and gave me his review. He goes, "Dude, why would I pay for this?" Right? You know what I mean? What am I? Jay-Z talking about taking care of all the rich artists. I'm thinking, oh God, Jay, what a freaking faux pas there, man. Right?
It was a misstep for sure.
Do you listen to any of those streams? I'll tell you, I listen to Spotify.
Spotify is and honestly is my best friend. I love Spotify more than anything. I pay for the premium. I make playlists almost weekly. Sometimes, like, I've been seeing all those Straight Outta Compton billboards all around on MWU, and yesterday I was like, I want to hear Eazy-E, so I typed it in. But also, I make playlists for my friends. Like, I have a friend, Josh, in New York, and it says Jams for Josh, and I put music in there for him, and he does the same for me. And it's awesome. It's user-friendly. It's simple. It's easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
No bells and whistles.
Yeah. And it's funny, I listen to it too, and people have asked me, well, you're a manager. Why would you support Spotify? Too. Right?
I buy music too, but I also pay for Spotify. Like, I can't get enough.
Well, the interesting thing about it, Bob Lefsetz, one of the industry analysts who's quite a character, and Bob and I got off to a slow start, but he and I are kind of become buds here because he does his homework. And that comment he made, for all the chatter and independent artists go, I don't want to get screwed by Spotify. I don't want to get screwed by I don't want to get screwed by somebody. They're missing the point that getting fucked by a record label or Spotify or one of these streaming services is not the great risk. The great risk is that nobody's going to hear your music or care.
Amen.
Okay? And what's happening is, and Jim Urey, one of our guests, we'll play another clip here in a minute, ran Universal Distribution. And one of the parts about the working inside a big label that was growing was their streaming revenue. So for all you artists out there that are thinking that somehow Spotify's screwing you, the labels sign record deals with artists, and with that they get access to certain income. So Spotify isn't the enemy, and I'm thinking that the labels aren't really your enemy either. They provide a lot of value. But understand that getting your music heard is the most important thing, and people like Spotify, places like Spotify are not doing well because people hate it. I love it, you love it. And don't get lost in that Spotify is screwing me debate.
Don't get into that headspace.
Yeah.
Listen, your number one goal and the focus should be on get it heard.
Yeah.
And if you know that a bunch of people are using these sites, then just get it heard.
Yeah.
And build from there.
Yeah, and hopefully one day you'll be hearing Nicole Alvarez going, hi, there's a brand new band that I heard about somewhere X, Y, or Z, and you'll be playing. Okay, we got a couple. You got like another 10 minutes here, Nicole?
For you? Sure.
Because she goes on from 6 to 10. We're just killing a little time. Okay, I want to play you. There's 3 more clips I want to play that I think are particular. One, we're going to finish up with our tips from the pros here. And then we're going to talk about a couple other things. I'm going to introduce to you a couple more of the certified characters in the business. And then we'll talk a little bit about that. Here's tips from the pros number 3.
The table. I can't name any truly massively successful artist that isn't running their own show.
It's just write great music, play great shows. If you do that, amazing things can happen.
Today to make it, you have to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do anything. I will go feed your dog, I'll get your dry cleaning, I'll wash your car, I'll do all those things, and I didn't care because I really wanted to be in this business. And now I'm noticing, not all, but some of the younger generation, they don't understand that it takes that kind of vigilance and drive to get to where you want to be.
I like learning from other people's mistakes because it's a lot cheaper.
One thing I hear from a lot of bands nowadays, they go, well, how long were you going to do it before you stopped doing it? And I always think that was just never even an option.
Like, enough with the crazy shit.
Yeah.
Just be cool, man.
Yeah.
Like,
be pro.
I got your 48 tweets.
Almost every record that gets to the top of the charts has a big single on the radio.
You got to put it in front of people who don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they have to respond.
And certainly for me as a musician, anytime I hear something interesting, I'm interested.
The hour that you're on stage, or half an hour and a half, whatever it is, that's not the important part. It's the other 23 hours of the day.
You have some smart cookies up there, and every single one of them said something that's worth gold. Every
Yeah.
single one of them.
Yeah, and it's been fun for me too because in doing the show, so a lot of these folks I've known, and some of them I've met from the course of doing the shows. But it's always fun to find out the perspective of people when they're a little out of the normal routine of where I. So Blasco was talking about being in a band, or Jim Urey talking about radio and so forth. These are all valuable advice from some really smart people in the business,
And
right?
my coworker Lisa was saying, you learn everything. I did the same thing. You have to. I started as an intern for some guy named Bubba the Love Sponge. Okay? Really? He used to call me Nicole the Love Troll. It wasn't my happiest
Nicole
time.
the Love Troll.
I fetched breakfast. I put up with his all kinds of crazy antics. He was a nightmare. No offense, dude, Bubba, but
Bubba?
He's the guy that killed that wild boar in a parking lot and then had to go to court. Terrible human. Sorry, dude. No offense, but you were awful to me. But even as a band, you need to knock on all the doors and make all the phone calls, and it's work. It's work 24 hours a day. But if you want it, you're going to do the work.
Yeah, I no truer words were ever spoken. And you mentioned the whole notion of getting started. I got Liz here who's getting started, and I've been giving her some advice on how to present yourself to people and being somewhat calculating in that regard. Here, you had to do a bunch of drudgery for Bubba the Love Sponge. You might have wanted to shoot him, but I'm sure, knowing you put on a nice perky little face and made him believe you actually meant it, right?
I did it,
okay.
and I learned. But not only that, I learned I would walk into a room and some guy was doing production. I'm like, how do you do that? Do you need any help? Even the cleaning lady, I was like, how do you know where to go first? You just pick up as much information as you have.
Yeah.
It's like arming yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to.
Yeah, and everybody has the different buttons to hit. But I wanted you touched on that whole notion of getting started. And when I think about where this site can help people, it's everybody's dreaming of doing something big. Not everybody, but I think a lot of people are dreaming about doing something in their life, whether it's a music business or otherwise. And it's easy to dream because it's just easy. That's why they call them dreams, because they always work out. Nightmares are the ones that don't work out, right?
There's no boundaries in your dreams.
But it's the actually getting started in doing, which is where most of the pain starts. So every person on the show, I ask how they got started, and I invite you to go back and watch our first interview where I asked Nicole how she got started, right? But we have so many great ones, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what would be the best great getting started story we ever had. And so I want to play you folks. Some of the folks, the regulars, are going to know this one, but if you haven't watched the show yet, I'm going to play you a clip from a gentleman by the name of Jason Flom, just to give you a little background, who's one of the biggest A&R guys in the business, most successful, who's signed acts from Twisted Sister to Amy or Tori Amos to White Lion to Lord. Right? Yeah. So we're talking across all genres. He's also one of the funniest guys in the world. Let's hear Jason Flom's getting started story.
Gotcha.
How did you, after you forego that career in comedy, how'd you get involved in the music business?
Well, no, the comedy thing came later, Steve. Originally, I wanted to be a rock star,
Oh, okay.
And I was stoned enough to think that I could actually make it. I wasn't talented enough, but I sounded good to me because I was high.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you can, work all that out, trust me, it was an incredible career path I was on.
Uh-huh.
Then, I'm old enough that it was around that time that the first Van Halen record came out, and I heard that and I said, well, I might as well fucking try to dunk a basketball because, and there's not too many people that can do that.
You were a Van Halen fan, huh?
Of course,
Oh,
but once I heard him playing the guitar, I said, okay, I don't really need to be practicing anymore because it's not going to make a difference. I can't do that.
No.
So, but it was around that same time that I made a deal with my dad that I had a year to become a rock star, or else I had to go to college because I had no interest in going to college. So, but I had to get a job.
Uh-huh.
So luckily I knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who got me an interview at Warner Communications, and I wound up with a trainee field merchandiser position. Well, why is this story interesting? Well, because what I learned is if you can get your foot in the door, you can make something happen. I didn't have any idea what I was getting into. It was July 31st. They gave me a staple gun, some double-sided tape, and a bunch of Led Zeppelin posters, and I ran around putting up posters in record stores, smoking weed like a chimney. And I thought, this is the greatest job in history.
Yeah.
I love him.
He was supposed to call in, was actually going to show up, and when he was on the show, he told some of the just most
I love his
outrageous jokes of all
honesty.
time. Oh yeah.
It's very raw and honest and open, but yeah, that's what people do. You run around high as hell and you staple posters. Although nowadays we don't need to do the whole stapling of the posters.
Yeah,
thing.
there's no, but it's funny you should mention that, no stapling, but it's funny about, getting started. Let me ask you if this is your experience. As many people as I've had on the show, there's almost as many different stories of how they got started. Neil Jacobs, a good friend of mine, started as a carpet salesman. Dalton Sim, manager of funds, started as a mutual fund manager. Tom Mackay, who's a big-time A&R guy, signed George Line, started as a golf pro like myself. But everybody has a different story. Real quickly, tell everybody your getting started story, and then I want to play one final clip for the artists out there.
Real quickly, I was always obsessed with music since I was a little girl. I was going to college in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was the first time that I had a boyfriend, and he cheated on me and he dumped me, and I was heartbroken. I didn't leave my dorm for a long time. I would just sit there and listen to Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds live in Luther College. Just terrible time of my life. Anyways, my roommates dragged me out to a club in Jacksonville, and at the club, the local rock station was there. It was Planet Radio 93.3. And I stood in the back of the room. I'm like, that would make me happy, working there and being around music. I jumped on stage. I asked the guy DJing, do you guys have internships? Who would I talk to? He gave me the name Tina Morris. I got home, and the next morning I called and I left her a message. Nothing. Called again and left her a message like 2 or 3 times a week until she called me and she was like, your persistence, I'm intrigued by it. She hired me as an intern for promotions, and when I got in the building, I went to every department. I'm like, do you need any help? Do you need any help? Do you need any help? And then Rick Schmidt was the program director, and I walked into him one night, and I go, when are you going to put me on the air? And he goes, seriously? And I go, yeah, seriously. And the rest is history.
Yeah. It's always the same, folks, getting in the door.
Get in the door.
And my personal advice, folks, is figure out where you can be a hero in that room. Mm-hmm. Be respectful, but you don't always have to ask for permission to do something great, know? And a lot of people want to ask, what do you do? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And
just kind of get in there.
Like you say, they rewarded you for your persistence when most people go, well, they're going to think I'm an asshole, to which I would reply, okay, if you're not an asshole, and they thought you were an asshole, what's the worst? They're not going to hire you? Okay?
You got to try, and if you don't try, you don't get. Like, I literally saw the place that I wanted to work, and I was like, I'm going to call that place. And I was persistent, and you just, if you think you're dreaming too big, just take the leap. What's the worst that can happen? You land on your 2 feet.
And Mercury here, who happened to look at the chat room, says, Jacksonville College boyfriends, the worst.
The worst.
All right, let's get that off.
Actually, he was from the boy that dumped me was from Miami.
Okay, Florida, get out of here. Any questions in the chat room for Nick? I've been so lost in our conversation. It is 11:20. It's 11. I can't tell which of these clocks is right. I'll tell you what time it is. It's time for you to almost get out of me to get ready to play golf, but I have one more little bit here. Any questions over there, Liz? 2. Okay, Liz Quintanilla. Let's put her on channel 4 there. There you go. Now smile, Liz.
Liz has game face when she's over there.
That's what I told her. She's got game face. So she's like very serious over there. Liz was worried that I put her on the air.
Game face.
Okay.
All right. So number 1, is there a major advantage for a band or artist to hire a radio promotion company to try getting airplay on commercial specialty radio, new music shows, or can a band get traction this way on their own? And that's from Eric.
They could do it on their own. You take the business side of it, but I think that they can do it on their own. You're giving me a face, which leads me to believe.
You got that face. My wife said you give me that face.
No, you're giving me a face like I have something to say about this. Mm-hmm. I think that they can do it on their own. I'd be very careful for people trying to swindle you and take your money. This is something you can definitely do on your own, 100%.
Here's what I'm going to say. I think there's some avenues for you to do it on your own. The local music shows, there have been enough cases where a song got played on the local music. Our friend Rodney, is Rodney still on the air?
Rodney's still on the air.
Okay, God, thank God. Where you might have some chance to kind of get in the building, your toe in the door, as it were, right? I think Lisa and Kevin and Gene, they kind of look for little signs and so forth, right? If you're an independent artist, out there on your own with no real label digital experience, Nicole's exactly right. There'll be any number of people that'll be happy to take your money, right?
Yeah.
And I see so many kids that are happy to do it. They just want it so bad they'll write a check to these
They'll get
idiots,
an extra job
right?
just to
Right?
be able to pay for this person
crazy.
who's trying to take them for all they have.
It's crazy. And it's the reason why when independent artists have talked to me, they try to reconcile this fuck the gatekeeper thing, but it sounds like, Steve, you're saying we should sign with a label. And the reason I say that that's probably a better outcome is because what labels have is lots of money, lots of experience, and lots of infrastructure, and they have great relationships with all the key media outlets, including radio stations. And those labels, independents and majors, will hire independent promotion people to go out and help them get those records on the radio. But there's no chance that they're going to get swindled because those people are coming back to them again every Monday for a new assignment, right? So take advantage of the things you can control, YouTube, your presentation and so forth. Submit your music to all the local radio shows. Try to get on all the right blogs because those are a very important place to start because people like Gene and Lisa and folks, they check to see what's buzzing out there,
And
you know?
check whatever local venues you have. Like, I have so many friends that are in bands that play gigs at the Viper Room, that play gigs at the Whiskey. Like, believe it or not, you can grab all of your friends and say, come out, and Hotel Cafe. Book as many gigs as you can because word of mouth goes a really long way.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Play.
Okay, we got one more little bit that I wanted to play you today, and this one is for all the artists out there. And although I think it somewhat applies to even the business types. If you're looking and you're an artist and you've written songs and you believe in your songs and you believe in your performance and you're wondering to that question I get all the time, how do I become a big star? What is it that managers, agents, publishers, and record companies are looking for? We recently had a guest on the show, a gentleman by the name of Nick Raphael, who I met when I was managing Incubus and he was the head of Epic Records in the UK. He now works for Capitol and part of the Universal Music Group. He's the president of Capitol Records UK, signed 5 Seconds to Summer, and Sam Smith, thank you. I was going to say Sam Phillips, I knew that right. Just to name a couple here, right? And to say that Nick is a colorful character might be the understatement of the year, but I hope people can look beyond his colorfulness to what he's saying because it's true, because he had some great advice for what it takes to succeed in this business. Okay. And I want to play you that clip right now. It's Nick Raphael, president of Capitol Records UK.
Number one factor, likability. You can be the most talented, ambitious fucker on the universe. If you are unlikable, the public are going to hate you. If you are you are and a
I'm not naming any names. Axl Rose?
You can name whatever you like.
He never comes out anyway. Fine. Jesus, he'll never hear about this guy. Sorry.
So, number one. Number two, ambition. If you are fucking lazy and you are not willing to sacrifice, then you will fail. Fact. Number three and third in the importance is talent. Because we can name some of the greatest artists of all time, and there are better singers, better guitar players, better songwriters, and better musicians than them. But the truth is, they had ambition, likability, and enough talent, and enough songwriting ability, or they were good at pairing up with other songwriters and musicians that made the difference. And the bottom line is, Frank Sinatra didn't write a song, but he's still my favorite fucking artist, right? Yeah. Elvis Presley wasn't a songwriter, right? But has charisma and likability and ambition all day long. These people, right, superstars, are not superstars by accident. Yeah. They fucking work hard.
Dude, charisma. Thoughts? Okay, first of all, what he's saying about the likability, don't you think that's right?
Absolutely. Charisma, I think it's right whether you're an artist or a business person.
And charisma comes, this is something I've learned as I grow older, charisma comes with really be very comfortable in your skin, but not cocky, but just be comfortable and let your natural charisma come out, because we really like being around people like that. People are drawn to people that have that kind of charm and that likability. We just want to hang out with you. So you don't have to have the most talent, but if you make me feel like, dude, I want to have a beer with you, then I want to be around you. And working hard, business is not for wusses. I just go on vacation and I'm back and I need a day off to recover from vacation. You got to tour. They've got to play gig after gig. You have to do promotional events. You really work a lot. It's not just I'm going to hop on stage and be a rock star. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't work that way. And there's a great lesson in there for everybody, that ambition and drive and determination and passion. All of that will be tested, not just in the music business, but I think in life in general provides you lots of tests. We talk about the music business like it's something special, and in many ways it is, but it's the same, I think, across the board. Well, Nicole, we managed to launch the ship today, and it is fun. We are hearing sounds and so forth. I wanted to let you know, folks out there, that we got another show coming up next Wednesday with a gentleman by the name of Rob Wells. Rob spent 15 years working as the head of all digital enterprises over at the Universal Music Group. He's now free and clear of the man, okay? And I reckon it'll be a great conversation about some of the digital changes, and he'll talk about what he's doing right now. He's a really, really, really smart guy who will have some thoughts about that major world, and now I'm interested to hear his thoughts half step removed from the major world. Should be interesting
it's
stuff.
going to be interesting.
I want to thank all my crew over there, the lovely and talented Kira O'Neill, Steady Eddie, with her tank top, she's sweating over there. Elizabeth Quintanilla, thanks for putting up with me all week. My wife, who's over in the corner, who puts up with me all the time. That's tough. I want to thank my two sons for showing up here today, getting up early with me, having a cup of coffee, setting the table here.
Don't forget the dogs.
And the dogs, Duke and Buck, are over here on the ground patiently.
Before you wrap it up, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you and to tell you how proud I am of you, because you started this in a place where you didn't really know what it was, but you had this passion and the little voices in your head, you started listening to them, and 3 years later, you've had some really big hitters on this show, and you've helped a lot of kids and a lot of people, and you're putting stuff out there that they wouldn't get otherwise, and you're like a porthole, and you are a mentor, a true mentor. So I'm going to take this time to applaud you.
Thank you.
I'm pretty proud.
Where's my gag?
Yay!
Thank you.
It takes a lot of passion to sit here and to do this and to not necessarily know what you're doing.
Hold it down back there. Hold it down.
But you found your true north, and you're the living embodiment of passion, and passion is what you need to survive in life. Period.
Well, I appreciate those kind comments, and
you're blushing.
I am blushing a little bit here, So, I want to thank you for joining us here today. I want to thank all of those guests. Whoop, there it is. All the folks we've had on there. Cody put that together before he left, and so we'll put that up there. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure doing it, so I hope you check out our website. I hope you check out our course if you're really serious about it. Don't spend $10,000 or $50,000 at some university to hear from a guy that used to sweep up the studio when everybody left. I can handle that for $99 for you. So anyway, Nicole, pleasure. Now please, I'm going to give you a little hug. Oh, there you go. They're going to see I'm short to my way. All right, thanks a lot. Here, okay, now watch this out. Watch this edge. I'm going to get you one of these at your show. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Steve Rennie. I'm the Renman. This is Renman. Those labels are looking for when they sign an artist. First and foremost, they're all looking for great, unique talent. It seems obvious that labels would want great, unique music, and everybody